This is a guitar neck to a project that I'm working on called the Biohazard 2. And I've done a kind of a paint technique here, cracking, and made it look like it's worn off. This is actually clear coated, but it's made to look like it's been well used. And that's kind of the idea of this whole project. Every part on this guitar has been aged or worn. The only thing left is the fretboard. I've been thinking about how I can make this match the rest of the guitar. I have a spare neck that I do practice things on, and in this region is kind of where I want it to, or how I want it to look. And I did a couple of different things just to make it look like there's a little bit of dirt or whatever built up around the frets, and it's going to be nothing that will harm the playability of it. How I'm going to do that is just I've gone back to my black leather dye and kind of brush it in by hand. And then once it's done, I'm going to use some of this lemon oil to protect the fretboard. First thing I want to do before I start is just to clean the fretboard a little bit. And to do that, I'm just going to use some rubbing alcohol, just lightly wipe it, get some any oil or grease off of there so that the black leather dye will adhere better. All I'm doing here is I've got just some water, brushing that on just to dilute the leather dye. A little bit, dries pretty quick. I just want that damp, and then I have my leather dye here, and just basically brush it right in where the fret is, and then it just kind of runs along into where the water is. There's no real rhyme or reason to any of this. I mean, it's not supposed to be absolutely perfect. It's just supposed to represent like a little bit of dirt in there, just to give it a bit of a different look. Just kind of try to feather it away from the fret. Pretty much like that. And once it dries, I can come back and touch up certain areas, and then once I'm done, I'll sand it a bit as well. So this has been sitting for overnight, and it's completely dried out. You can see it looks the way I want it. It's more obvious now that it's dry than when it was wet. Still have to do some sanding, just lightly in the middle, and then feather out to bring back some of that natural wood color. And then after that, I'll put some lemon oil on it, and it should look pretty good. So just wipe that off, and that's about as good as it's going to get. A nice, cool look to a fretboard, a little bit different than your normal, and it will match the rest of this guitar. Since I went at this fretboard with a light rubbing down with rubbing alcohol, and I've sanded this, I'm going to let this first application of lemon oil just kind of sit in there for a while before I start wiping with a rag. And I'll probably put a couple of coats on and let that dry and then do it again. You know, when I first started putting the lemon oil on, I almost thought that it was hiding the look. I thought it just looked dark, but now that it's been on there for a little while, I haven't wiped it down with a rag yet, but I think it's going to actually enhance the look. The natural wood is showing kind of a nice reddish color. It's still very dark, but I like the look. It's going to be a subtle look, but you know, there's not much you can do with a rosewood fretboard to make it look beat up and aged to match this guitar. It's been a few days since I put the first application of lemon oil on this neck, and it's looking really good. I love that sort of satiny shine. But you can also see where it's darker near the frets, and that's what I was going for. Kind of giving it that weathered kind of look that would match this guitar. But I wanted a little more contrast from the middle of the fret to where the fret actually is. But I'm happy with this. I like that satiny dark color. I'm going to put one more application of the lemon oil on, just because, like I was saying before, this was kind of a dry neck. I put rubbing alcohol on it a little bit to clean it, and I also sanded in these frets, so I want to make sure there's you know, enough on here to make a nice smooth neck. Alright, got that neck on the guitar. That's the Biohazard 2, I call it, and you can see by the body that it's kind of a relic type thing. It's not sharp and clean, so that's why I wanted to do that effect on the neck where it's lighter between the frets and darker around where the fret is. But it's nice there. You can kind of see it's got a nice shine from that lemon oil, and you can go completely dark with that the black leather dye. It doesn't have to be light in the middle like that. I just did that for this guitar. But I love the effect. I love the look of just the dark, especially on a neck like this with those shark tooth inlays. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this. Watch my other videos. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.